Bam, bam, bam. All right, guys, give me just a minute here and we'll be good to go. Gonna go ahead and get us shared up here. And then we are solid. Okay, rock and roll, guys. I'm going to go ahead and get a recording started here. Looks like I'll be good. I may have a little bit of background noise. I am currently over at my grandparents' house right now, so maybe kind of a thing, but it's whatever. Had to do what I had to do. So let's get started here. Hey guys, this is Scott Johnson with Brains, Brawn, and the BS that comes along with it, and I absolutely love it. So much fun. All right, so today is a seriously important episode. The reason I am doing it is because over the past few days, I've been kind of reflecting. In one of our previous episodes, in fact, just so you guys are aware, this episode is recorded a little bit early, but I'm going to be posting this a little later on in the month of March. But in a previous episode, I actually discussed meditation and reflection now and how you can kind of find your why through that. Now, over the past few weeks, in fact, it's really compounded over the past couple of days, I've actually been thinking more and reflecting on the wisdom of age. Now, it's not something that a lot of people think about, especially when you're up to, when you're only 25 years old or younger. In fact, we believe that we can do whatever we need to do. We know everything. And even if we're kind of, not saying that we know everything, we are sure as shit implying it by our actions. So it's kind of like when I was in my rebellious stage and mom and dad would tell me to do something, I'd be like, sure, and do the exact freaking opposite. I mean, it's the same thing. But when it comes down to it, one thing that we need to realize ultimately is that with age does come wisdom. And over the past couple of days, I've actually come across a couple of articles. And of course, in fact, this literally just happened the day before yesterday. I went to F3, which is basically a non-for-profit group of guys who get together in the area of Pitt County and Beaufort County. And they're kind of, I guess they have chapters all over the place. But on Monday morning, we actually had a Bible study and something called Pray First. So before our 5:30 a.m. workout, I actually went to Covenant United Methodist Church off of Fire Tower Road. And at 5 o'clock, we go over there and we start we go over a certain part of the Bible and we just kind of talk about what it means to us. And then funny enough, after we did that, it was a story of the prodigal son, which I'll kind of go over with you. Then after that, I picked up my Daily Stoic, and Daily Stoic is kind of like a book on stoicism. And it gives you a quote every single day that basically it gives you things from Epictetus and a bunch of other Stoic writers. And essentially the article or, the thing he had posted or put in the book was about the wisdom of age too. And then in our book club, which we are reading The Richest Man in Babylon currently, I remembered another quote. So it's kind of all compounded. Now, that's neither here nor there. We're going to go ahead and get into the brunt of it in just a sec here. But just so you guys know, make sure that if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram. And if you have questions, let me slide over to the live screen. Yeah, I've actually got the chat up so I can answer questions during. I may not stop immediately, but I will eventually answer them for you. But all right, guys, so the wisdom of age. Now, I want to start off by a story. And of course, this is a biblical story about the prodigal son. Now, the prodigal son, I guess prodigal, I don't even know what the definition is, but padre is what we call him. He told us that it means a son that isn't that great, kind of flaky, yada yada, things like that. All right. So what happens is there are two sons to this father, and one of the sons says, "Father, I want to take my inheritance early, and I want to go off and do what I will with it." So the father, goes ahead and sells off a certain portion of the land, gets him the money, and then he leaves. Now, when he leaves, of course, what do we do when we're 18 years old, 20 years old, and we have a crap load of money? We piss it away most of the time, unless we've been taught, earlier and accepted the wisdom of age before that. But in this case, of course, like the usual person or usual student, he goes out, pisses the money away, and all of a sudden is flat broke. And after he's become flat broke, he actually starts working as pretty much a slave on a farm and feeding the pigs and doing things like that. And he figured out that he had hit rock bottom when he was envious of the pigs because they got to eat the slop. And I'm not sure if you know what this slop is, but if you don't, just don't Google it. It is straight up nasty stuff, right? So once he figured that out, he decided, okay, the best thing I can think of to do is to go back and, say and apologize to my father. And so he does. And when he returns, the father, essentially, he comes up to his father, says, "I'm so sorry. This is exactly what I did." And the father welcomes him with open arms and says, slaughter the fatted calf, which was a big thing. They, of course, a fatted calf is only cooked for a big celebration. And, we're going to celebrate because my son was once dead and now he has come alive. All right. So let's kind of deep dive into that a little bit. So first off, he talks about his son being dead. All right. Essentially, when it comes to us being young, we tend to make reckless decisions. We tend to say, "Oh, no, this is the way I need to do things. Oh, that's a good way that you guys do things. Oh, cool. That must have worked back in the, early 1800s BC, right? But it doesn't work now, Dad or Mom or whoever." All right. And it's important for us to realize that at a certain point in our lives that the words that they say actually mean a lot. So in my life, I, of course, started off, I became a nurse, a nurse aide, worked at the hospital for about 10 years, started multiple businesses, basically just did everything wrong. And by the time I was 30 years old, I was on my ass flat broke. Hey, get excited, right? So at that point, it's a real low point. It feels like crap. You get super depressed and it's just straight up lame. So at that point, I decided, okay, I need to start doing something different. I really started thinking about that a little earlier, but my actions didn't start producing results until a little bit later on. So I started to, say, okay, cool. Let me take stock of what I know. Here are the decisions I've made, and here are the results. Is this the outcome that I would have predicted when I was younger making these decisions? Right. And so I looked at it and said, no, most definitely not. If I had known I was going to be flat ass broke by the age of 30, I sure as hell wouldn't have done it. Right. So then I started thinking, okay, well, what can I do from here? And I started doing some more reading and looked into it. And of course, I started listening to people who were a little bit wiser when it comes to money. So let's go back to the prodigal son. The prodigal son comes back, flat ass broke. Father says, "Yay, you're alive again." And why? Because his son has officially come to accept his father's word and to kind of follow in his footsteps. All right. So let me bring up a quote from The Richest Man in Babylon. Now, like I was saying earlier, as when we are younger, basically, let me just read the quote because it makes a lot more sense when I read it. So this is from The Richest Man in Babylon. The thoughts of youth are bright lights that shine forth like the meteors that oft make brilliant the sky. But the wisdom of age is like the fixed stars that shine so unchanged that the sailor may depend on them to steer his course. All right. So deep dive into that a little bit. The thoughts of youth. They're bright, they're vibrant, they're fast moving. They're, it's almost like you see these guys getting rich so quickly and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. Or, you think, oh, that kid's so sharp. He can come up with an answer off the top of his head in 1 second, yada, yada. But a lot of these thoughts are fleeting. Why are these thoughts fleeting? Well, a lot of times when we say, okay, cool, I know how to do that, right? A lot of times we're just saying we know how to do it, but we're kind of figuring it out as we go. And as we figure it out, as we start doing what we're looking to do, we figure out, holy crap, this is wrong. So let me go to the next thing. Let me go to the next thing. Oh, nope, this sucks too. Let me go to the next thing. Right? So the thoughts of the young are fleeting, although they make brilliant the sky and make for a really good show, right? They don't really have too much substance. Okay, but let's go back to the wisdom of age. Now, just so you guys are aware, the wisdom of age is, listen, a person who is older and has experienced life, experienced different things. So when it comes now, the wisdom of age is like the fixed stars that shine so unchanged that the sailor may depend on them to steer his course. Okay, well, who's the sailor in this one? This guy and those guys, right? Everybody out there who's listening to this, you are the sailor in this. So the one thing that makes the thoughts of older people have more substance is experience. Okay, now how do they gain that experience? By doing the same thing we do when we're young. We just do this is one way of doing it. All right. And so they've experienced it. They've gone through that failure. They've seen that shit. They've been through the trenches. And now they're aware that, okay, I totally get it. But now let me take a step back and think about this a little bit more deeply. All right. So that's what they are able to do is reflect on their experience and direct that towards the situation at hand. All right. So what does this mean for us? Well, this means we need to seek out the wisdom of age. Now, of course, you need to be selective. It's just like going to a store, right? Are you going to go in there and take everything off the shelf? Ooh, this is discounted. This is discounted. Yeah, no, because you could end up with a bunch of garbage that you don't want, right? Garbage in, garbage out. So how do we know it's not garbage? Well, we read the freaking label and we see if it's a bunch of garbage or not. All right. So read that label. Look at the person and say, okay, where is this person financially? All right. Where are they in life? Is this where I want to end up? And if the answer is yes, then experiences they've had, whenever you have an idea, shoot it to them and say, hey, listen, this is an idea I've had. What do you think? Or what are your thoughts is what I like to say. And some of the times they're going to say, oh, that's fantastic, yada, yada. But if they do that too much, drop them because they're not helping you at all. All right. Unless they want you to screw up. Kind of like me, when people ask me questions, I tell them, I'm like, hey, listen, I'm not going to give you the answer. I'm going to let you screw up and figure it out. Right. I want them to have experiences. But anyway, so essentially what they're able to do is give you that feedback and say, wait, I've done this before. All right. I've been here, but here is what actually works. And boop, pushes it right over and pushes you in the right direction. All right. So I guess this is a really good way of finding mentors too. because having a mentor, and this is something that we preach in our early episodes just frequently, we beat it into you like just beating a dead horse or something, right? Having a mentor is the best way, the fastest way to get you to where you want to go. Right? Actually, there's another quote from The Richest Man in Babylon. It should take me just a second to pop it up here. Walls of Babylon. Fourth. Okay. Here we go. Boom. Gold clingeth to the protection of the cautious owner who invests it under the advice of men wise in its handling. Again, the wisdom of age are like the stars that help the sailors navigate their way. Boom. So if you're looking for investments, you're looking to get a better return. If you're looking to start a business, are you just going to go off of your own whims and say, hey, look, I can read a book and look what I can do? No, you're not. And if you answered yes, shut the podcast off, because you shouldn't be listening to this unless you're ready for a mind shift, right? So what he's saying, or what they're saying, is that with age comes wisdom through experience, right? But making sure that you're looking for people who are, again, here it is, people who are who are wise men, who are wise in its handling. Now, are you going to go to a stockbroker and say, hey, I want you to teach me about real estate? No, hell no, you're not going to do that, right? But you are going to, if you're looking for looking to get into stocks, you're going to look for someone who is making their way in the stock market and doing really well when it comes down to that, all right? So basically, this is actually turning out to be more of a guide on really digging deep and finding a good mentor for you, which is actually pretty neat too. Let me go ahead and cover one more thing. So Richest Man Quote, already got that. The Daily Stoic. This is what I was talking about a little earlier. Let me bring it on up here. Here we go. Boom. All right. So the Daily Stoic for the 28th of January, which obviously you're going to get this a little later than that, unless you're on live right now. So basically what it says is, take a good hard look at people's ruling principle, especially of the wise, what they run away from and what they seek out. Again, what they run away from and what they seek out. Back to sending an email or calling the person when I have a mentor, when I have an idea. I'm going to bounce that off them and say, listen, here's what I'm going to do. What do you think? They're going to say, hey, no, run away, get away fast. Just halt. Don't do that. Do this instead. All right. So counseling with them, talking with them, setting up a time to go to lunch with them. Buy them lunch if they want you to. But a lot of mentors I've found, they really don't want people to buy them lunch. They just want to help them out. It just depends though, because it's a relationship-based process. All right. So once you've found this person, what are some ways that you can kind of get in with talking to them? Let's say you don't even know this person. Okay. Well, first off, the one thing that I like to do, which is really which is something that Robert Kiyosaki talks about, Chapter 16, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, work to learn, don't work to earn. All right. So Robert Kiyosaki talked about a funny little story. I think it was on a podcast. And what happened was this kid kept mailing him. I want you to be my mentor. I want you to be my mentor. And finally, Robert's like, you know what? Fine. You can buy me lunch. Right. So they go, he meets him at this table, and, this kid talks to him for a little bit and says, hey, listen, I want you to be my mentor. Okay. And, he said, Robert looks at him and says, okay, well, what do I get out of it? And he said, no, you don't get anything out of it. I just want you to be my mentor. So what happens is Robert stood up, looked at the kid, and told him, I'm walking away, and this is a very valuable lesson that you'll eventually learn. Walks out the door. Those aren't his exact words. I don't have it in writing in front of me. But what did he mean? Well, he meant that this kid wanted something for nothing. In our society today, we see a lot of that. We see a lot of people grabbing whatever they can. Hell, there was one day here, I'm pretty sure it was all around in, I think it was in Alabama too. The food stamp cards, for some reason, the limit was lifted for a temporary time, a couple hours, whatever. So what happened? People were running to Walmart, had carts full of stuff, and were going through the line, beep, 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 literally running. It's a run on the store. They were really literally looting the store, essentially. And then, of course, what happened when the problem was corrected a couple hours later? The people who couldn't get out with all their stuff left it in the carts and walked the hell out of the store. Something for nothing is just rampant in our society. And what Robert was saying to that kid without saying it is, look, if you want to receive something, first you need to give. What did Robert do for his rich dad to be able to start training him? He worked for free. Now, I would have loved to have seen the outcome if the kid said, if in response to Robert's question, he said, look, I will work for you for free. I'm really good at marketing. I'm really good at sales. If you want me to go talk to people who are selling their properties or contacts you have, I'll do it for free. No payment. All I want to do is to learn from you. And you don't have to teach me. Just let me shadow you for like 5 hours a week. Whenever you are okay with me being with you. I really would have liked to see what happened if he had said that. But he didn't. He just expected that someone very wise in the use of money was just going to tell him everything he knows. Right? So, what is a way that you can start working with someone or start basically getting mentored by somebody? Recently, I partnered with an investor up in Raleigh. Okay. And basically what I did was I said, hey, listen, I texted him. He actually inquired about being one of my cash buyers, added him to the list. And I can't remember what our conversation was like, but I know that he did subject twos. And for anyone who doesn't know what a subject to is, you're purchasing a property subject to an existing loan. And basically the loan comes with the property and you basically just take over the payments, right? So essentially I told him, hey, listen, I need a mentor in subject twos. If I find one, can you work the deal with me, right? I mean, you can have the freaking profit. I don't care. I just want to learn how to do it. And he said, sure. Now, to this day, we still have not done one yet, although we are still actively searching. In fact, I'm actually going to go look at a possible subject to tomorrow, but it may not be that good of a deal because she owes pretty much what the property is worth. So we have to see what rents in the area are like. That's for a different episode. So, but what did I do? I said, listen, here's what I'm willing to give you. Here's what I can do for you. I will bring a deal to the table for you. Just will you show me how to do it? And of course he said yes. Now we're actually working together on a couple of different things. I've developed some automation, which was a series. Look back at the automation series. It was 3 episodes a little while back. And those will help you kind of understand what I'm talking about. But since I've built those processes, we're now working together to try to develop those processes and make them more efficient so we can do better with our business. But so far we've closed 2 deals together, which is really pretty good. But that's one thing, is saying, hey, listen, I know you're good at this. I will do something for you for free. Here is what I will do. Don't just say, I'll work for you for free. All right, cool. What does that mean? Right? They have to know what you're actually good at. And another thing was interesting. I just got a call recently from an investor. Actually, I talked to the investor. I called him, built a relationship with him. And he said, hey, listen, we're looking at this property, 21 units, yada, yada. Is this something you'd be interested in partnering with us on? I said, sure, but my capital's tied up. But if you need a minority shareholder, and when I say minority, I don't care if I get 1% of it. Minority shareholder, but don't tell him I said that. Don't tell him. But as long as I can be a minority shareholder, and can be brought on as such, I will do all the footwork for the business. So, we're going to hire the property manager, but a lot of times things need to be done. Like the property needs to be walked by ownership, pictures need to be taken, yada, 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 yada. That would be kind of my role in that. So here's what I can do for you. Will you teach me how to essentially own multifamily properties? Right? Also, sending letters is good too. But if you're going to send a letter, don't send something, that looks like crap, weird font, Comic Sans, things like that. Send a professional looking letter. What I do is I use Pages, and I go to Pages, and it's actually got I really like the elegant letter style. And I type it out, short and sweet is how I like to keep it. And then I sign it. I print it out on really nice, the paper you use for, not invoices, resume paper, right? That cotton stuff is really nice. I actually do that. Yeah, cool. I got to pick up my daughter in a minute, so I had to make sure I'm good on time. But I'll print that out, sign it in a nice pen, put it in the mail, and go. Or if you're brave enough, walk up and hand it to somebody. Hand it to them. Say, listen, I know you're really good at this. I really want to learn how to do this. I will work for you for free. Do whatever you need me to do, and just here's what I'm good at. Make sure to say, here's what I'm good at. All right. So I think we've covered a decent amount in this one, giving you a couple of great strategies for reaching out to people who are where you want to be. In another episode, we can cover, in fact, let me write that down, how to find mentors. And guys, when I talk about mentors, I don't necessarily mean it has to be a business mentor. Look, everyone here has a different point of view, a different journey in this thing we call life, right? We're all going in different directions because God made us differently. And that is the most beautiful thing on the face of this world, is the fact that we are so diverse. Okay. So you don't have to take this in a business or investing standpoint. Take this into the job market. I mean, tell you what, I want you, and give me some feedback on this for those of you guys who do it. All right. But I challenge you to write up a resume when you're sending it into potential employers. Now, we can do another episode on resumes because, I'm an employer. I kind of know what I like. But when you write up your resume, make sure it's pointed towards the goals of the company that you're applying for. Don't just spew out a freaking resume or cover letter to 50 different companies, the exact same one. That's stupid, right? But offer in there to work for 2 weeks for absolutely free. Now, normally they won't make you work for free, but they, even though they may bring you on and try you out for a couple of weeks, they may pay you for your time anyway, but they may take you up on your offer, which is completely fine. But do that and then see how much better your chances are for actually getting that position. All right. Working for free is a fantastic way to do it. In fact, one of our investors is a flipper, and he does all his own work. What I do is every now and then I'll go to the property and I'll say, hey, listen, I'm just going to work for you for free. He's like, okay, cool. Hell, I bought him lunch the other day. And the reason I'm doing it is because he's teaching me. I'm able to learn by immersion, which is in a previous episode too. Check it out. Can't remember which one, but learning by immersion. I think it was episode 31 actually. And being able to just kind of take things in little by little. All right. And of course, that is a great way to tap into the wisdom of age. Again, this quote cannot be overstated. All right. So the thoughts of youth are bright lights that shine forth like the meteors that oft make brilliant the sky. But the wisdom of age is like the fixed stars that shine so unchanged that the sailor may depend on them to steer his course. What course are you on right now? Where are you heading? Do you know? Is this something that you've thought about? Well, whatever course you're looking to, whether you're on right now, whatever path you're wanting to take, the wisdom of age can help you go along that path. You're going to have those fleeting thoughts. You're going to have the thoughts of, oh, the old man doesn't know what he's talking about. But take a step back. Look at where they are right now and see if that's actually true. A lot of times, it's better to just take out your map and start looking at the stars. All right, guys, that is it for this episode. Deep dive into the wisdom of age. Again, we covered a couple of great stories, a couple of really good quotes, gave you some actionable steps that, I'm hoping they'll help you along your journey. Obviously, don't try all of them at one time. Pick one, go with it, see how it works. And like you've been doing, just let us know. It's great hearing from you guys. brainsbrawnandbs@gmail.com. You can also catch up with us on Instagram at brainsbrawnandbs is basically our name on Instagram. And just keep tuning in because we're here to help you guys out. I really appreciate you coming and joining me today. And if you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out. Thanks so much, guys, and have a fantastic day. Joining me today. And if you have any questions, do not hesitate to